trying to sell my used BMW 3 Series privately was a massive ball ache. So much so that I actually gave up on the whole process and did this. So yeah, if you've been following my channel, you'll know that I was trying to sell my used BMW 3 Series since like November last year. And the whole process was really quite draining, but it was also a real eye-opener about the state of the used car market. For someone who smugly told the internet that selling a car privately was the way to go and was a really good way to make lots of money, well, I might have been brought back down to earth with a crashing bang on this one, because the process this time around was anything but plain sailing. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how I tried to sell my car privately and then didn't, and then how I actually did sell it. And stick around till the end, because I'm actually going to tell you what the buyer of my car actually tried to resell it for, which I think is quite interesting. I don't know if it's just that the car industry is going through a tougher time right now of late because of post-COVID and the EV market, and there's just a lot of different factors that are really kind of varying prices and all that. Are people just more cautious, or is it just that humanity's on the verge of collapse, it seems, and so people are just dicks? You know, I don't know. There's just an awful lot of factors here that have kind of made the experience of selling a car this time around felt a little bit different. I did make a video about nearly getting scammed early on in selling my Beamer. I'll leave a link to that one at the end of this one, because it was quite a big video. It kind of blew up. Kind of a big deal. But yeah, basically in that video I talked about why I nearly got scammed, and it's led me to be a lot more cautious thereafter about who I would engage with about buying my car. And at the same time, I have this very trusting personality, and I like to try and believe that there's some good in all people, and that people are genuinely, if they're interested in my car, I'll take them seriously up to the point I realise they're an utter time waster. And so I still tried to keep an open mind, but my guard was definitely a bit more up after that. So in terms of advertising the Beamer, I started on Gumtree, and I put an ad on there for 20 quid for a week, which in hindsight was quite expensive for what it was. And I think I got one inquiry right away. It turned out to be a waste of time. And then I quickly realised that that wasn't really bearing any fruit. So I went onto Facebook, tried Marketplace there, which is free. And again, just complete morons replying to that, and just, yeah, if you're not selling a car that's worth £20, I think Facebook probably isn't the place to go. So I eventually gave up on that and decided to put it on Auto Trader. And I thought, do you know what? It's like 60 quid for the short advert, and it goes up from there. And if you go for like the 80 quid Rolls Royce premium ad, it stays on as long as you want until it sells. I thought, bollocks to that, I'll just go for that one, seeing as it's like an extra 20 quid, and see how long it takes to sell it. And at least then, if I've done that, I'm not under any pressure to sell it for a price. I'm just going to let it play out and see if I can get the money I want for the car. The main thing I kind of got used to realising quite quickly was that distance buyers probably should be taken with a massive grain of salt, and that there's very likely to be very few distance buyers who are proper genuine buyers, and potentially not even scammers. And given that I live on Dangleberry Street on the ass crack of Scotland, right up in the northeast, I think that where I live does not play into my hands in terms of getting a lot of distance buyers who are seriously going to actually jump on a plane or get in a car or on a train or whatever and come up to get my car. And so I kind of started to go, do you know what, if you're not within like an hour of my house, do one. And then some of the questions again, I mean, oh my God. Would you drive the car to my house to let me see it? Where do you live, mate? And no, I'm not going to drive it anywhere anyway, but out of interest, where do you live? Oh, I'm down in Dundee. Oh yeah, cool. I'll just jump in my car, drive to Dundee, just so you can have a look at it. Aye, sounds good, mate. Piss off. And then like people going, would you accept a tenner? Okay, not quite, but do you know what I mean? Like ridiculously low offers. It's just like, honestly, jog on. The amount of times people made an offer for my car without having asked anything else was absolutely astonishing. And that's before noting that latterly, once I dropped the price quite heavily, my one was one of the cheapest on Auto Trader in Britain for the age and mileage it was, and all the toys that it had. And still then, did I get any remotely realistic offers for it? Nope. I could, of course, ignore a lot of these inquiries, but when somebody offers you literally half what you've got it on Auto Trader for, I feel kind of obliged to respond with something cheeky like, lol, or, in what world did you think I would be willing to accept way less than what I could get from We Buy Any Car? Like, why would I bother advertising my car privately and spending money on the ad, taking time to take pictures of it and everything, if I could literally just give it to We Buy Any Tosh and get a really awful deal for it? No. I then got a call from this guy. It's like, somebody's interested in your car. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Rolling my eyes already. I'm thinking, I don't even want to be polite to this guy at this point because I'm so used to dealing with absolute donuts. And he's like, yeah, I'm really interested in your car. Oh yeah, mate, sure. Where is it you live exactly before we go any further? Oh, I'm up in Turriff, which is like an hour away from here. I'm going, okay, this could possibly be all right as long as he comes to me. And he's like, yeah, I'd like to see your car and maybe just inspect it. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, mate. If you come to the house, I'll happily speak to you. So he comes down to the car and I'd said to him as well, I was like, you know, I have had my fill of time wasters. He's like, oh no, genuine inquiry. Okay, noted. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Turns up thinking he's a mechanic, but he wanders around the car, inspects the hell out of it, lifts the bonnet, he's going on about hoses and all sorts of stuff. Generally, he's basically acknowledging that my car's in great nick under the bonnet, more so than I even knew. And I'm like, okay, cool. So this guy's not obviously able to find anything wrong with my car to try and negotiate the price on it, you know? But he kind of took his time, and I'm thinking, right, get on with it, mate, you know? And eventually he goes, right, cool. And there's this sort of awkward silence. I'm thinking, he's wanting me to look desperate and go, what will you accept, you know? And like, I just basically was like, yeah, so let me know what you think, you know? And he goes, what would you accept for your car? Do any of these people have a clue how to negotiate? It's absolutely incredible. Like, if he actually just said to me, here's my offer, and I could go, yep, that's a solid figure, I'll think about it, or it's a little bit low, maybe if we get to here, or I could just say, yeah, I'll accept that if it's, you know, 100 quid less or something, maybe, fine. But to just ask me what offer I would accept for it, I'm like, the price that's in the advert, like, what an absolute donut. Anyway, so I basically just said, yeah, you've clearly come around and looked at the car based on the price it was on at, and you obviously think it's in good nick. You haven't been able to find anything wrong with it to even negotiate around. So you expect me to just drop the price because you said that? Go away. Anyway, I was like, right, mate, go and have a think about it. Yeah, bye. Yeah, and then what a surprise. Never heard from him again. But no matter how low I went with the price, people always just seem to think that you're there to be knocked down. Like, nobody ever goes, maybe that's actually the price you want for it, you know? People are always thinking that somehow you're just bluffing, and that, you know, when they come in and just chance their arm at a lower price, you're going to go, you got me, mate, you know? But when people come in and they chance their arm at like 4 digits more as a discount, it's like, do you go into a dealership and just say, hey mate, any chance you can knock 2 grand off the price? I don't think so. And when you look around Auto Trader, you see a lot of cars privately being advertised, you think, you're never selling that car because you clearly don't know how to write an advert, and you've not put enough information in, not enough pictures, the pictures are crap, you know, the spec's clearly wrong, and it's like, yeah, that's obvious reasons why your car's not selling. Whereas, well, I work in sales for starters, and I know a little bit about cars now, having a YouTube channel about them, and so I was kind of like, I know roughly how to write a half-decent ad about my car. So I was pretty sure that that wasn't in any way the issue. And I'm sure everybody thinks that their car's the bargain of a lifetime, and, you know, people will be going to me, mate, your car's just a BMW, there's loads of them, so it's really not that special a car. Yeah, great, but, you know, I started off quite high because where I live, it is possible that you will get a buyer who goes, oh, yeah, that's actually not bad value, and if I wanted to get a better value car, I'm going to have to travel quite far for it. So you might actually get lucky with a higher sale price. So yeah, I might start high, but I lowered it very quickly, and over a few months, and I also kept looking at the market to see where it was really at. And the way I always thought about it was I wanted to be somewhere between what a dealer would resell the car for and what the base value is. So it's like, okay, if you go to me, you're taking a bit more risk, but you're also going to get a bit more value than you would from a dealer because of what they actually do to it or don't do to it in terms of getting it prepared for you. But my car was like, it was due its service in a few months, but it had decent tire tread. I had no issues at all. MOT proved that from the last one. And yeah, it was really high spec as well. So there was a lot of factors showing that my car on paper was half decent. So I was like, yeah, I think I'm pricing this at a good point here. But patience is not really one of my virtues. And I was starting to get that like obsessive, I need a new car feeling in my head, even though I'd only had the car for like, you know, 15 months or something. But more importantly, I was thinking about the fact that its service was due in a few months' time. And I was like, if I get too close to that, I'm going to probably need to service it before I can sell it. And it's like, well, if I then service it and MOT it, yeah, I've spent a few hundred quid in the service, and then the MOT, I thought there's maybe a couple of subtle things that they might pick up on. And then it's like, oh, you've got to fix those. And all of a sudden I've dropped $1,000 on the car. And you're going, right, well, to justify the cost, I might as well keep it a bit longer. So I was starting to think, right, I really want rid of it now. So I thought I'd try a few local dealers to see what they might offer me for it. And BMW offered me 12 grand before inspection. So that's obviously less than that probably by the time they look at it. So I was like, nah, you're all right. And I also contacted a local garage to see what they would offer, but I never actually got a quote from them in the end. And essentially, the 12 grand, I was like, okay, if that's a benchmark roughly for a trade-in, if I was to go private, apparently I should be looking for about 13 grand for it. And my loan was sitting at about 12,600. So I was like, okay, so if I get somewhere near that, that would be about 500 quid profit, and I could live with that. The way I see it is though, any dealer reselling my car was going to be selling it for at least 15 grand. And knowing there wasn't much work that would need to be done to it, I'm thinking, if they gave me 13 grand for it, there's still decent margin in that for them. So yeah, feel free to disagree with that, but I still thought at that point I wasn't being that unrealistic. And what's this showroom condition, which is what BMW said. It was like, we'll give you 12 grand for it if it's in showroom condition. I'm like, it's a 7-year-old car. So unless I've kept it in a sealed container and barely ever driven it and I'm actually a mechanic as well, chances are it's not in showroom condition. So what exactly does that mean? And is that just a word you use to get me in the door and hope that once I turn up, I'm going to be a moron and go, oh, I'm actually really desperate, so 11.50 then, you know? It's like, what exactly is the point of saying that? But if you start with a low number and you're kind of giving me the impression that it's there to be knocked down, I'm just not going to turn up. These guys are actually just a bit like reverse car salesmen now, actually. It's like, yeah, we can't make a lot of money out of actually selling cars anymore, so we need to start trying to make some money out of buying cars. And so they've got loads of tactics that they try to use to make you think your car's not worth as much as it actually is. And you just need to be able to stand your ground and say, nit. So I said, stuff that, I'm going to try online auctions and see how we get on with that. I've got quotes from CarWow previously, because big fan of Matt Watson, watch a lot of his videos, bit of an inspiration, and obviously they've got a big marketing machine behind CarWow now. So I'm aware of them, but the prices I got back from quotes in the past were not very good. And I also thought the marketing machine is going to cost money for them. So maybe one that does the same thing, but maybe hasn't got that behind them, might be able to offer slightly better deals. So I thought I'd try a company called Motorway, which is a similar idea, but yeah, I wonder if maybe they would be able to offer slightly better deals on CarWow. Can't prove that. But anyway, basically I went to them and they have a massive list of dealers on their network, about 5,000 or something as well. So I'm like, that's going to be most of the ones in the UK. So similar to what CarWow will probably have. And when I put my reg in, my mileage, etc., answered a couple of quick questions, they came back with an initial figure of about 13.5 grand, and I was like, hello. So I thought, right, now we'll take this a bit more seriously. Let's get some pictures taken of it, and then you've got to go around with your camera and take pictures of all the little blemishes on it. And I was like, stuff that. I'll do that for the ones that are really obvious. But if I was to do it for every little scratch, we'd be here all day long and I would be underselling the car. Surely anybody who's really interested in buying my car the age is that is going to accept that it's going to have a few tiny wee scratches. So I got a few offers back for it after all the pictures. And the top one is the only one they tell you, and that was £13,040. I'm thinking, that could work, so long as when they finally see the car, they don't then try and knock me down. But then I was like, well, it's the car shop in Wakefield that made the top offer, and they're a car supermarket, and that's quite a long way away. So they send somebody all the way up here. God knows how they're even getting to my house, because they're obviously not coming up in a car, they're coming in public transport. I kind of hold all the cards a little bit, unless my car's an absolute turd and they go, mate, you totally missold it. When they get here, they want to leave with the car. So I kind of thought, do you know what? I didn't show every blemish on the car, but I was reasonably honest about it. But I think ultimately they're going to give me the money for it that they've said. So let's hope that's what actually happens. I then get this inquiry from a guy from London on Auto Trader, and I'm like, here we go again. It's going to be an absolute time waster or a scam or maybe even a thief, you know? But anyway, I thought, you know what? Let's just hear what he's got to say. And he's like asking all the right questions. He's even talking about jumping on a plane within a couple of days to come get the car. I'm like, look, mate, I'm selling this car in a few days, so you don't have a lot of time. But if you're willing to buy my car at the original price, I'd rather sell to you. So I asked him a few more questions. We were discussing details about flights and everything. And then all of a sudden, he never bothered to respond to me. And I just thought, enough. So on the day that the boy from Car Shop was coming to collect the car, he phones me up and he's like, hi, I'm coming in a village near you. I'm saying I like he was Scottish. He wasn't. And he's like, yeah, I've got a scooter to get to your house from there. I'm like, mate, I'll come and get you from the bus stop. Like, you don't need to scoot to my house. Assuming he's got like an e-scooter or something. And when I collected him, he was an old boy. He was like obviously retired. It was just a part-time job. And he didn't have an e-scooter. He had one of those push scooters. I'm like, mate, were you planning to scoot to my house? That's like 10 miles over country roads. Wow, that's commitment. So we went back to the house, he inspected the car, pretended he was a mechanic, which he clearly wasn't, asked a few questions, made a phone call, and the next thing I know it, the money's in my bank, and I've got an email confirming I'm no longer the registered keeper, and he drove off with the car. Boom! And here I am, sitting in my new replacement car, which I've already put content on the channel about, because technically I made the deal for my BMW a few weeks back. But this is my new used Tesla Model 3, and I am going to be doing a lot of content about this. But if you did subscribe to my channel because I was a BMW owner, please don't hate me. So I was really interested to know the sort of margins that the car shop were making from my car. And I did keep an eye on their website for a while to see when they'd post my car ad. And it took them blooming ages, like 2 or 3 weeks before it went up. And I was really hoping to get a good look at the car and the pictures they'd taken and get a feel for what they'd actually done to it before reselling it. But unfortunately, the only picture they put up in the ad was this. Yeah, whoever did the ad was obviously either on their first day or visually impaired, or maybe they decided to have a few bevies at work before they did it, because that's one of the worst ads I've ever seen for a car. It happened to be my car, my pride and joy. Literally one picture at a dodgy angle with a mobile phone that didn't even show anything about the car. So I don't know if they refurbed the wheels or anything, and that's the key point really, is because I'm pretty sure they would have serviced and MOT'd it before reselling it. If they don't do that, then they're absolute cowboys. But that's 500 quid, give or take. And yeah, they might have had to do wee tweaks to things like the washer jets and stuff. But then on top of that, if they were to refurb the wheels, that'd be maybe another 200-300 quid. And then they've got to valet it, they've got to put on their pishy wee used warranty and all that. If they've spent £1,000 on my car, I'll be amazed. So let's say that they've made 1,500 quid of margin on my car at least. And that's assuming they sold it at the price they originally posted the ad for. But I think it probably would go for roughly about that. So my conclusion from this is that, yeah, for cars like the one I was selling, it was actually quite a good way to go. And in the end, I wish I'd just done it and not bothered with all the hassle and money that I spent on adverts to sell privately and just get nothing but complete morons contacting me. So I would do it again, I think, and I would say it's definitely worth taking a look if you're selling a car. But I do think it will also matter what kind of car you're selling and all that sort of stuff. But realistically, it was quite a painless process once you get past all the pictures you have to take at the start. So I would recommend it, but I also thought about it from the point of view of, if I'm buying a car again, if I could find one within a decent distance I could go and actually see myself, I would actually consider buying a car privately, because I've never actually bought one privately. Having seen the questionable value that the likes of the car shop added to reselling mine, and I know they've got to make a margin, but really the warranties these kind of people offer are not really worth the paper they're written on. So it's like, what are you really getting from these guys? Like, not a lot. And so if you're willing to actually do your homework on a car and go and see it, maybe if you can get a test drive somehow, even if you're just a passenger or whatever, you might pick up a bargain if you take the risk on a private buy. And that is really the key thing. Are you willing to take the risk? And I think in most cases, most people aren't. So guys, that's how it all went down. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. Keep it respectful and jovial, please. Always good to have a healthy debate, but we don't need any old used car dealers coming in going, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and we could sell cars whatever price we want, or some stuff like that. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you, so please do leave me one. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe as well. Loads more content coming up the channel about this car, other cars, industry news, everything. I'm just getting started. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.